Impatience is not your problem. Impatience is the most honest signal your mind produces. Every time you feel that pull, that restless, agitated need to enter a trade right now, to do something, to stop watching and start acting, your mind is telling you exactly which beliefs are destroying your trading. But you have never learned how to read the signal. So instead of listening, you obey. And every time you obey, you lose money. Let me be very direct. If you overtrade, if you enter before your setup is complete, if you feel physically uncomfortable sitting at the charts without a position on, if you spend more time in trades than your plan calls for, you do not have a discipline problem. You have a belief problem. There are specific, identifiable beliefs operating underneath your impatience, and until those beliefs are surfaced and dismantled, no amount of willpower will keep you from acting on them. You can grit your teeth and force yourself to wait today. Tomorrow, the impatience returns, because the beliefs that generate it are still intact. Mark Douglas spent years working with traders who suffered from this exact pattern, and he recognized that impatience was not a minor character flaw. It was one of the most pervasive and costly behavioral dysfunctions in all of trading. Revenge, trading, and fear get the attention. But impatience, he observed, was responsible for more cumulative losses because it operated at a lower intensity and a higher frequency. You might revenge trade once a week. You might act on impatience 5 times a day. Now, if you are the kind of trader who wants to go deeper than surface level awareness to actually see when and where impatience takes over, how much it costs you, and which market conditions trigger it, that is exactly the kind of structured self-observation that the Speculator's Journal makes possible. It makes visible the patterns you cannot see while you are inside them. The link is in the description. But stay here first, because what I am about to tell you will change how you think about every minute you spend at the charts. Let me show you what impatience actually does to your account, because I do not think you see the full scope of the damage. Here is what I see when I look at an impatient trader's execution log. I see entries that are 2, 3, 5 bars too early trades where the setup was forming but had not completed, and the trader jumped in because they could not stand to wait for the confirmation. I see position sizes that are too large because the trader sat watching for 2 hours without a trade and wanted to make the wait count. I see 6 trades taken on a day when the plan called for 2 because the trader felt like they were not doing enough. I see exits taken too soon, winners cut short, not because the target was reached, but because the suspense of holding became unbearable. And I see the emotional signature that ties all of it together, a chronic, low-grade anxiety that intensifies with every minute the trader spends watching without acting. How much of that did you recognize? If you are honest, most of it, and here is the part you need to hear. That anxiety, that feeling that you should be doing something, that sitting still is costing you money, that the market is leaving without you, that feeling is not a response to the market. It is a response to beliefs you hold about the market. The market does not care whether you are in a position or not. The market is not going anywhere. Your setups will appear at the same frequency whether you are calm or frantic. Your anxiety adds nothing to your edge and subtracts enormously from your execution. Mark Douglas understood that impatience in traders was never really about the market being too slow. It was about the trader's internal relationship with inactivity, a deep-seated belief absorbed from a culture that equates busyness with value, that doing nothing means wasting time. He recognized that this belief was so deeply embedded that most traders did not even know they held it. They just felt the discomfort and assumed it meant they should act. I know what you are thinking. You are thinking that some of your impatient trades worked. That sometimes entering early put you ahead. And yes, that happens. But a gambler who bets big on red and wins is not vindicated, he is lucky. And luck in trading is the most expensive form of positive reinforcement there is, because it teaches you to repeat the very behavior that will destroy you over a large enough sample. Now, let me destroy the mental model that is generating all of this. Here is the lie you have been operating under, and you have probably never questioned it, that waiting is the absence of trading, that when you sit in front of the charts without a position, you are not working, that the value of your time at the screen is measured by the number of trades you take. This belief is so pervasive that it feels like common sense. It is not common sense. It is the single most expensive belief a trader can hold. Waiting and IS trading. The decision not to trade is a trade. Every moment you spend at the charts, watching, filtering, passing on setups that do not qualify, is an active expression of your edge. Your strategy does not just define when to enter, it defines when not to enter. And the entries you decline are among the most profitable decisions you will ever make because they prevent losses that would have eroded your edge. Think about a professional sniper. A sniper does not fire 100 rounds hoping one connects. A sniper waits for hours, sometimes days, until conditions are exactly right. The discipline to wait is not the absence of skill. It is the skill. The waiting is the hardest part and the most valuable part. Everything else is mechanics. Mark Douglas reframed patience as the outward expression of genuinely probabilistic thinking, the understanding that your edge exists only over a series of qualifying trades, and that every non-qualifying trade you force onto the market destroys the statistical integrity of that series. When you truly internalize that your strategy works only when applied to the setups it was designed for, patience stops being a sacrifice. It becomes the obvious, rational response to how probability works. That is the reframe. Waiting is not the cost of trading. Waiting is the edge. Now let me give you the 5 skills that make this reframe operational, so it does not stay as a nice idea. You forget the moment the next candle moves. Let me talk about the first skill, redefining inaction. This is non-negotiable. You must deliberately, consciously redefine what it means to be doing nothing at the charts. Right now, your internal definition of a productive session is one where you took trades. If you sat at the screen for 3 hours and placed 0 orders, you feel like you wasted your morning. That definition is destroying you. Here is the new definition, and I want you to write it down. A productive session is one in which I followed my rules, whether that meant taking 5 trades, 1 trade, or no trades. If my plan said trade and I traded, that is success. If my plan said wait and I waited, that is also success. Here is the psychology. Impatience arises from a gap between expectation and reality. If your expectation is, I should be trading, then every minute without a trade creates tension. But if your expectation is, I should be following my rules, and your rules say wait, then waiting creates no tension. You are doing exactly what you should be doing. I know what you are thinking. You are thinking that a day with no trades means no income. And you are right, no trades means 0 revenue today. But forced trades on a slow day typically produce negative revenue, and negative is worse than 0. The math is not close. The cost of not trading on a quiet day is $0. The cost of forcing 3 unplanned entries is often several $100s. You are not choosing between earning and not earning. You are choosing between 0 and negative. When you see it that way, patience is not sacrifice. It is profit protection. Let me give you the worked example. It is 10:45 a.m. You have been at the chart since 8:30. No setups from your watch list have triggered. You feel the pull, the urge to drop to a lower time frame and hunt for something. Instead, you say to yourself, my rules say wait. Waiting is trading. I am protecting my capital and my edge by not acting right now. Then you write in your journal, 10:45 no qualifying setups, following the plan by waiting. That entry transforms the morning from wasted time to successful execution of the wait rule. Over weeks of entries like this, a new identity forms. I am a trader who waits for qualifying setups. I do not chase. That is redefining inaction. The simplest skill and the most foundational, but it needs a partner, because the urge to act is not just about productivity, it is about scarcity. Let me talk about the second skill, the abundance reframe. This is non-negotiable. You must replace the scarcity belief. If I miss this move, I miss my chance with the abundance reality. There is always another setup. Always. Here is the psychology. At the root of every impatient entry is a scarcity assumption. You believe, at some level, that the market offers a limited number of good opportunities, and that if you miss one, you have lost something irreplaceable. This belief creates urgency. It makes every forming candle feel like a ticking clock. It makes every move you are not in feel like stolen money. But this belief is empirically false. If your strategy has a genuine edge, it produces qualifying setups with statistical regularity. Go look at your backtesting data right now. Count the number of qualifying setups per week. It is not one, it is not two, it is dozens, depending on your time frame and market. There is no scarcity. There is abundance. You do not need this trade. You need your process applied consistently over the next 100 trades. And this trade, the one your impatience is screaming at you to take right now, is 1 out of 100. Skipping it costs nothing. Taking it when it does not qualify costs you money and, worse, corrupts your data. I know what you are thinking. You are thinking, but what if this is the one that runs? What if this is the winner I will regret missing? And the answer is, maybe it is. And it does not matter. Because the next qualifying setup will come, and the one after that. The market does not run out of setups, it runs out of patient traders. Here's the practice. Every time you feel the urge to enter a trade that does not fully qualify, say this: there is always another one. This is not the only trade. My edge works over the series, not the single event. I am willing to miss this one to protect the series. Then sit with the discomfort for 90 seconds. That is the half-life of a trading urge, 90 seconds. If you can ride it out, the impulse recedes, and you are still in the game, with your capital intact and your edge uncompromised. The abundance reframe addresses the belief, but beliefs are slippery. They reassert themselves the moment the next candle moves. You need a physical interruption. Let me talk about the third skill, the entry delay protocol. This is non-negotiable. Before every trade, every single one, including the ones you are sure about, you insert a mandatory 90-second pause between the moment you decide to trade and the moment you place the order. During those 90 seconds, you answer 3 questions in writing. Here's the psychology. Impatient entries happen in a compressed window. You see the setup, you feel the excitement, and your hand clicks within 5 seconds. The entire sequence, perception, arousal, action takes less than 10 seconds. In that window, there is no room for deliberate evaluation. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational decision-making, is slower than the emotional circuits that drive impulsive action. It needs time to activate. The 90-second delay gives it that time. It creates a gap between the impulse and the action. And inside that gap, clear thinking becomes possible. The 3 questions for the delay are these. 1, is this trade on my pre-market plan, or did it appear after I sat down? If it appeared in the moment, it is almost certainly a product of impatience disguised as opportunity. Pre-market plans are made in a calm, rational state. In-session discoveries are made in an activated, emotionally charged state. They are not the same quality of decision. 2, does this setup meet every criterion of my strategy with 0 exceptions? Not almost, not close enough, every single criterion. If any rule is unmet, the answer is no, and the trade does not happen. 3, if I stepped away for 10 minutes and came back, would I still want this trade? This question tests the urgency. Genuine setups do not evaporate in 10 minutes. Impulses do. If the only reason to enter now is it might be gone soon, that is not a setup, it is a chase. I know what you are thinking. You are thinking that 90 seconds will cost you entries, that in a fast market, price will move away. And occasionally, it will. But let me ask, how many of your best trades, the ones that truly paid off, required you to enter within 5 seconds or miss them completely? Almost none. A good setup presents an entry window, not an entry instant. If your strategy genuinely requires sub-5-second execution or the trade vanishes, your strategy has a design flaw that speed cannot fix. Let me give you the worked example. You see the euro approaching your entry zone. It looks valid. You start your 90-second timer. You write pre-market plan. Yes. Second setup on the watch list. All criteria met. Entry zone reached. Confirmation waiting for candle close. Time of day filter within the window. The candle closes. All criteria confirmed. 40 seconds remain. You wait. Timer ends. You still want the trade. You enter. Clean, deliberate, evaluated. Compare that to the alternative. You see the zone, feel the excitement, click immediately. The candle has not even closed, and it reverses. You entered before the setup was complete because 90 seconds felt like too long. That is impatience, converting a potentially valid trade into a premature loss. The entry delay protocol gives your rational mind time to override your reactive one, but skills 1 through 3 are still operating at the level of individual moments. The fourth skill operates at the level of evidence. Let me talk about the impatience audit. This is non-negotiable. At the end of every trading week, you review your log and categorize each trade into one of two buckets. Planned, the trade was on your pre-market watch list and met every criterion. Impulse, anything else. Any trade found in the moment, any entry where a rule was bent, any position taken before the setup was fully formed. Then you calculate the P and L for each bucket separately. Planned trades, net result. Impulse trades, net result. Here is the psychology. This skill does not require willpower. It does not require motivation. It does not require self-talk. It requires math, and math does not negotiate. When you see in actual dollar amounts that your impulse trades lose money on average, while your planned trades make money on average, the internal justification for impatience collapses. You can no longer tell yourself, but sometimes my impulse trades work. The data is in front of you, and the data says they do not work on average over any meaningful sample. I know what you are thinking. You are thinking you already know this. You already know impulse trades are bad. But knowing and seeing are different acts. Knowing is abstract and easily dismissed in the heat of the moment. Seeing in a spreadsheet with real dollar figures, with a trend line pointing unmistakably in the wrong direction, is concrete and unforgettable. Let me give you the worked example. You review 1 month. 32 trades total, 21 planned, 11 impulse. Planned trades. Net positive $2,100. Impulse trades. Net negative $1,450. Combined result, positive $650. Result without impulse trades, positive $2,100. You took 11 trades that cost you $1,450. Not because your strategy failed, because your impatience added 11 trades your strategy never asked for. That single number, $1,450 in pure impatience cost, is worth more than any indicator, any course, any chart pattern you will ever buy. Because it tells you exactly where your money is going, and it is going into trades that exist only because you could not sit still. I, Mark Douglas, have sat across from traders who could not wait 30 seconds for a confirmation candle to close. Brilliant analysts, sophisticated thinkers, people who understood probability on an intellectual level but could not hold their hand still long enough for the probability to express itself. And every single one of them, when I asked them to track their impulse trades separately, discovered the same thing, that their impatience was not a minor leak, it was a hemorrhage. And the moment they saw the number, the behavior started to change. Not because I gave them a motivational speech, because the math gave them no place to hide. Now let me talk about the fifth and final skill. This one goes deeper than all the others, because it addresses the root belief underneath every impatient impulse. Let me talk about detaching self-worth from activity. This is non-negotiable. You must consciously, deliberately separate your sense of professional identity from your level of trading activity. Right now, at some level, you believe that you are only valuable, only productive, only a real trader when you are in a trade. That belief is the engine of your impatience. Here is the psychology. Most people in modern life derive their sense of worth from action, from doing, from output. This conditioning starts in childhood. You are praised for activity, for accomplishment, for visible effort. Sitting still is associated with laziness. Doing nothing is associated with wasted potential. And when you carry that conditioning into trading, it creates a toxic dynamic. Because trading done correctly rewards inaction far more than action. The best traders spend most of their time doing nothing, watching, waiting, filtering. They act only when conditions are precisely right. Their restraint is their edge. But your conditioned brain cannot tolerate this. It screams, do something. You are falling behind. Other traders are making money right now while you sit here. And that voice is not the market speaking. It is your childhood conditioning speaking, filtered through an adult context where it does not belong. I know what you are thinking. You are thinking this is getting too abstract, too far from candlesticks and entry signals. But I need you to understand this is the root. Every early entry, every forced trade, every moment of impatience that cost you money can be traced back to this single belief. I must be active to be worthy. And until you consciously separate your sense of professional self-worth from your level of activity, the impatience will keep regenerating, no matter how many tactical techniques you stack on top of it. Here is the practice. At the end of every trading day, before you check your P&L, write one sentence. Today I was a professional because and fill the blank with something that has nothing to do with taking trades. Today I was a professional because I waited 4 hours for a qualifying setup and did not force a single entry. Today I was a professional because I identified that no setups met my criteria and closed the platform early. Today I was a professional because I ran the entry delay protocol on every trade, even the ones I was certain about. Over time, this practice rewires the association between value and action. You begin to feel professional for waiting, not despite waiting. You begin to experience inaction as mastery, not failure. And when that shift happens, when you genuinely feel pride about a zero trade day because your rules said wait and you waited, the impatience has lost its power source. It has nothing left to feed on. Let me give you the worked example. It is 2 p.m. You have been at the charts since 8:30. Zero trades, nothing qualified. Your old self would feel anxious, restless, maybe ashamed. I wasted my whole morning. Your new self writes, today I was a professional because I honored my criteria for 5.5 hours without deviation. Zero trades, zero losses. Edge preserved. You close the platform, you feel calm. Not excited, not disappointed, calm. And that calm, that quiet, professional neutrality is the absence of impatience. Not because you conquered it through force, because the beliefs that created it are no longer running. Now let me bring everything together. 5 skills. Each one dismantles a specific belief that fuels impatience. 1. Redefine inaction. Waiting is not the absence of trading. Waiting is trading. 2. The abundance reframe. There is always another setup. This one is not your last chance. 3. The entry delay protocol. 90 seconds and 3 written questions before every entry. No exceptions. 4. The impatience audit. Track plan versus impulse trades weekly. Let the dollar amounts kill the justification that willpower never could. 5. Detach self-worth from activity. You are a professional for waiting, not despite waiting. Practice these 5 skills every day for 6 months. And here is what will happen. The restlessness will fade. Not all at once, it will resist you for the first several weeks, because beliefs that have been running for years do not surrender quietly. But week by week, as you redefine what a productive session looks like, as you track the actual dollar cost of your impatience, as you insert the 90-second delay that interrupts the impulse to action loop, the grip loosens. And one day, maybe 2 months in, maybe 3, you will sit at the charts for an entire session, see nothing that qualifies, close the platform, and feel completely at peace. That moment is not a small victory. That moment is the moment you became a different kind of trader. The kind who lets the market come to them instead of chasing it. The kind who trusts the process more than the impulse. The kind who understands that the edge is not in the action, it is in the quality of the action. And quality demands patience. Remember what I told you at the beginning. Impatience is not your weakness. It is a signal. It is your mind telling you that a false belief is operating a belief about scarcity, about productivity, about your worth as a person when you are sitting still. The 5 skills I just gave you do not suppress the signal. They dismantle the beliefs that generate it. And once the beliefs are gone, the signal stops firing. Not because you became tougher, because there is nothing left to signal. Mark Douglas understood that the traders who achieve lasting consistency are not the ones who trade the most. They are the ones who can sit inside uncertainty without needing to resolve it through action. That ability to be uncertain, inactive, and completely at peace with both is the ultimate competitive advantage in this game. The market is full of traders who are smarter, faster, and better capitalized than you. But it is nearly empty of traders who can wait as patiently as you can if you build this skill. And patience, quiet, professional, evidence-backed patience is the one edge they cannot copy, cannot automate, and cannot buy. You do not need to be faster. You need to be stiller. If you want to track exactly when and where impatience takes over, what it costs you in real dollars, and which emotional states precede your worst impulse trades, that is, the structured self-observation that the speculator's journal was built for. It gives you the data that turns an invisible habit into a measurable one, the kind of self-awareness Mark Douglas could only ask traders to cultivate through honesty and memory. The link is in the description. Start tomorrow. Redefine what productivity means. Insert the delay, run the audit, and let the numbers teach you what willpower never could. That stillness is not the absence of trading, it is the highest form of it.